everyone, welcome to this month's TMI Q&A. Thanks to patrons, we make it possible, or they make it possible. I don't know why I said we, like it's not anyways. They make it possible for us to do this TMI Q&A where we get to explore inside of Brittany's head with your weird fucking questions. Starting with, what makes great sex? Thank you, Jasmine. What does make great sex? Honestly, if I'm being completely frank, I think it's intimacy, and I think it's genuine exploration into that other human. I think sex is really cool, and it's this great opportunity to get to know another human, but I think that you genuinely have to want to get to know the other person for it to be valuable. And I think when you don't or aren't interested in that particular human, it becomes less. And it becomes less because your investment in it is less. And so I don't have sex with people like one night stands. I don't have sex with people I don't like. I don't fuck stupid, 7 months clean. And I try really hard to make sure that I'm genuinely interested in the human that I want to have sex with. That way it's a genuine experience. This is from Books and Beauty. Please show us and tell us about your tattoos. Would you ever get more? So I have this tattoo, which is this tattoo. Okay, that's my Disney tattoo with my sister. And this one is about the fact that it says the small things. We're not friends because we're sisters. We're friends because of all the small things we have in common. There's this tattoo, okay? And this tattoo is my first tattoo I ever got. I like it a lot. It's pretty dope. And the idea behind that one was about exploration into self, and other than that, I'm not going to tell you what it means to me. So this question is from a Buckatar, I don't know how to say your name, sorry. I have borderline personality disorder and I am attracted to the BDSM lifestyle. I know there are many varieties of people with BPD, but do you think there's a reason why we see a lot of women with BPD who are also attracted to BDSM? And then Mickey also says, I second this. I have BPD too, and I feel like part of me knows the answer to this, but at the same time I have no idea. No, I don't actually think that's true. I think people with mental illness, or especially mental illnesses that are derived through trauma or abandonment, seek out communities. And I think that people can search out churches, nerd communities, BDSM, but it's not an indicator that these groups tend to attract these people. I think communities attract individuals who have been abandoned by their former communities. Actually, that was sort of the conversation that happened at MythCon this last weekend, where it was a conversation about atheist communities and whether or not the atheist community did become a little dogmatic in some ways because the people who had been abandoned by their former communities came into this community hoping to find something similar. I always joke that BDSM is my new religion, but that's a joke, like it's a joke. It has the three things that religion has, and that's structure, community, consistency. And I think any group that has those three things will attract people who have mental illnesses, who have been abandoned, and who experience trauma. And if religion is attracting those, you don't then say, is religion negative because it's attracting those people? No, there's a reason it's attracting those people, because those people need community, consistency, and structure. So this is from Sick Soldier Boy. I'm currently getting back with my ex, who currently has an older boyfriend. I broke up with her because of her happiness, but she says she still loves me, even though her friend has told me now a couple of times that she stopped loving me 4 months into our 9-month relationship. What should I do? We were pretty toxic and want different things, but we still do love each other. How do I help her and myself out? Thank you, XOXO. I think if I was in your position, I would probably make the same decision that I've made in my past relationships, which was to finally let them go. And I think a big part of that, the challenge to that, is just being honest with the fact that you are not compatible. I mean, you say it here in this text, you're making it pretty clear that you already know that. You already know that you are being limited in the way that you're interacting because it is toxic. So I think it is pretty awesome that you know that. And I think the next step to make is to excuse yourself from that relationship in any capacity, maybe even friendship for some time. You do need a chance or an opportunity to really come to terms with your feelings and the way you want to interact with this human. And I think by giving yourself space, you can do that. Now, I don't think it has to be the way that society has taught you to get space. I don't think it has to be done harshly or shh. It can just be done with, hey, I really love your presence in my life. I do. I'm going to, put my time and effort into other things at the moment, and I'm going to need some space. But I hope in that process of us getting that space from each other, we can both grow. So when we get back together as friends or as people in our community, we'll know how we want to move forward. I think a lot of poly and BDSM people have a skill set this way, that we learn how to make those breakups in a way that allows us to at least be in the same room as each other. But when I enter into a relationship, especially now, not so much before, but now, it's very much with this idea that I want to negotiate us being into each other consistently to make sure that we are on the same page. And I just want to make sure that no one's ever having these moments of, do they really like me? Are they lying to me? I don't have time for this. Do you love me? Do you not? Do you want to be with me? Do you not? I'm okay with either answer, because at the end of the day, it's not my job to keep you here. It's my job to encourage you to be the best person you can be. So if you're no longer growing with me, then you shouldn't be with me. You know what I mean? This is from Elena. It says, how the hell do you find a mentor if you're just getting started in the community? You don't. You might not. You might never find a mentor. Not everyone gets a mentor. Mentors are very rare. I don't know what I said in what video that made people think that everyone gets a mentor. No, this isn't Oprah. You get a mentor, you get a mentor, you get a mentor. That is not how it's going to work in BDSM. If you're lucky, you get a mentor. If you're not, you go to classes. And even so, you go to classes even with a mentor. A mentor is just somebody who's willing to take their personal time and help you on your personal journey. Certain people need that more than others, which is why I suggested it in the past for certain people, but that's because they did not obviously have the skill set to go to the classes of their own volition or to be taught the way that other people learn. And so you might never get a mentor, ever. That doesn't mean you still don't go to classes and you learn from other people. It just means you might not have somebody who's genuinely working with you one-on-one. This is from Michaela Makulich. Do you still have a mentorship with Bella? If so, how's it going? What's your favorite part of having her as your mentee? Actually, no. We have decided that she can't give the time that is going to be needed to be under my mentorship. So if she finds a different mentor who can complement her, I recommend it. Bella grew and did really good things while she was with me, but at this point, I have very specific needs from my mentees, and it's okay if my mentorship isn't the greatest style for all humans. So I have encouraged her to move on to maybe somebody who can better serve her needs as a mentee. This is from Nima. What, TMI question, is there a thin line between bratting and being manipulative as a bottom or submissive? No, there's not a thin line. There's a very large line. A brat has nothing to do with being manipulative or any of those things. Bratting is a specific kink that needs to be consented to. You have to get someone's consent to brat at them. Otherwise, you're just being rude. And then a bottom and a submissive and a brat are 3 different things. Remember that. These are 3 different things, 3 different job descriptions. So you can be a brat and be a top. You can be a submissive and never a brat. You can be a bottom and a brat and a submissive. Do you get what I'm saying? So all of these things are different. This is from Dylan Tyler James. What up? Hi. How have you had or do you do scenes with people of trans identity, trans men, trans women, and how important do you feel their visibility is to the BDSM community? Well, I'm a cis woman. I will do scenes with any human that I want to do scenes with. I have not done a scene with a trans man or trans woman. I've done a scene with a trans non-binary human, and I have had relationships with that human, but I have not done it with like a binary trans man or woman. And then how important is the visibility to the BDSM community? I think it's growing and I think it's becoming more inclusive, but to say that our community had at any point made it a strict part of the culture would be, I think, disingenuous. I think it's now becoming more part of the culture. Like, I went to a BDSM dungeon in LA and it was full of like really loud and proud trans folks, and that was pretty cool because it just means that they're more diversified and inclusive. But I think that, like any industry or community, we're still growing. Sue the Green says, TMI questions, me and my dom can't afford impact toys with things around the house. What things can we use that are cheap that I can buy? Well, first things first, remember that your body is being impacted with items that could hurt you. If you use cheap enough material, you could cause more damage. The reason we invest in good toys is because they're safer. That's not to say that you can't find things around the house that could work, but just keep in mind that they weren't created for impact, and so they will have a different sensation on your skin. If you take a spatula out of the kitchen and use that to hit somebody, well, obviously the person who created that spatula isn't thinking you're going to use it on the bottom of your partner. But if you're going to use it as an impact toy, then you need to take that into consideration. What was this item created for? I saw a YouTuber, so stupid, went and did BDSM on a budget and looked at kitchen knives for knife play. No! There is a reason you don't use kitchen knives for knife play. No. So you have to understand that if you don't have the money to invest in safer toys, you are always going to be at risk, which is a part of the thing about BDSM. It's inclusive if you can be a part of it, but it is still an industry, it's a culture that isn't for everyone, because not everyone is going to have the means or the tools to create a safe environment for themselves. So even when you're using certain rope or bondage material, you have to be careful. Certain material has a higher chance of causing nerve damage because of the way that it wraps around your wrist. You just have to think about things a little harder, go to some classes, but worry less about doing things on a cheap path and doing things on a safe path. Remember, safety first, everything else second. Okay, so this is from Gracefully Simming. I know in the past you stated that open relationships with men in the past were so that you could be with women. Would you consider monogamy with a woman? No, I am bisexual, but I'm like 70-30. I really like men. I find men attractive, but they always feel disconnected from me in a way that makes pursuing them less interesting to me. I do feel like women with my similar experiences, or women who understand my creepy brain, have understood me better than men have. I'm actually exploring this new part of Brittany's brain where I'm trying to figure out, am I truly incompatible with most men, generally speaking, and am I going to have to find one that is just genuinely fucking creepy unique in order for them to understand my brain? What I'm often running into is men who are really smart, but they just disconnect just enough with my brain that I no longer find them attractive. And I'm trying to decide what that means. I have fallen in love with men in the past, and I've had what I would constitute as deep, loyal love with them, but there's always that disconnect that ends up with us being separate, because I know I've made mistakes in the past by looking for certain kinds of humans, and I'm trying not to repeat those mistakes. But in order for me not to do that, that means I am going to have to be just genuinely obnoxiously upfront with my intent. And my intent often is to fuck you first, figure out if I even like that, and if I like that, maybe move on further. But now, okay, so that was my method before. Now what I want to do is I want to get to know you first, fuck you, and if I like both of those things in conjunction, then I might think about dating you romantically. And the reason for this is that my brain processes physical interaction, I think, a little differently than other brains, and I do find myself specifically motivated for sex through intellect. So if I find that we're disconnecting intellectually, if I can't follow your logic because I think it's illogical, then I'm gonna have a really hard time staying wet for you. You know what I'm saying? So my motivators are going to be different than other humans, and I'm okay with that. If I don't find humans that stimulate me enough intellectually as well as physically, I'm okay just not having sex. I'd prefer not to not have sex because I really have an extremely high drive and I would like it to be met by people, but I can't force people into being people that are fuckable to me. And again, this isn't me making a cast judgment. If I never fuck you, that doesn't mean anything about you. It just means for me, your brain doesn't get my brain, and that's fine. Again, I'm trying really hard. I don't know how to express this to people without it sounding offensive, or without me sounding like I'm some like freak pretentious human, which maybe. I'm just trying to explain that I lose my boner really quickly when I have certain kinds of conversations with humans, and it's not their fault. They're not created to appease Brittany. I just know that I myself do have my own specific wants and desires, and should you want to interact with me in that way, you still have to be attractive to me. And in order to do that, I'm looking for a very specific thing, which again, I'm not really going to bluntly state, because I don't want people faking it either, because I hate liars, and if you lie to me, I'm just gonna fucking never talk to you again. But the worst thing ever, the most offensive thing to me as a human, is to have someone play some sort of game with me or to pursue me under false pretenses. Like, I don't think there's anything that's ever been more offensive to me in my whole life, so don't fucking do that. This is from Taya, and I love this question. If you could create a BDSM party gathering, how would it differ from what already exists, and what would be different and what would be new? I think if I created a scene, a space for BDSM, I would want it to be really inclusive, but I'd want it to be really, really dark. I like dark play. I like all the things that society cringes at. I like all of the things that make people uncomfortable. I like all of the ways that you can be challenged as a human. That's all I care about, is challenging what I know and challenging how people perceive things. That's all that matters to me right now. That's my focus. So for me, my parties would be the kind of play that makes people uncomfortable, because I want to see you squirm. This is from Misfit Moments, dealing with loneliness, question mark. As I read that, I thought of him, and I thought, killing loneliness with you. I feel the greatest amount of loneliness when I am misunderstood. When people don't understand me, it feels lonely to me, even when I'm with people who I know love me so much. And I think loneliness is one of those really interesting human things that make us feel either more concrete or foundation in our existence, or less so. I think that loneliness is a result of you as an individual. I don't think loneliness is the result of outside forces. And I say this with a very specific asterisk, okay? For who I am as a human, if I am lonely, it's because I have neglected my priorities, I have neglected my relationships, I have neglected putting investment in other humans. I am a nice human, a kind human. I am aesthetically considered pleasing. I am goofy. I'm intelligent. I have these traits that make me basically attractive to most humans. And I have never had an issue with people wanting to be my friend. What I have had an issue with is people wanting to be my friend through a projected concept or fantasy of who I am. So when they get to know me, they either get scared, they run off, they become overwhelmed, they say things like, your standards are too high. They don't get how weird I am. They think because I'm a girl on the internet with my tits out that I have a very specific brain, and then when they talk to me, they're either more in love with me or they just don't know what to do with me and they feel inadequate. When it comes to, and that's just with men, when it comes to women, I find that most of the women I attract are either women who want to be me, want to be like me, or want to fuck me. I enjoy the third mostly. I enjoy the women who want to be like me in terms of having the skills that I do, because I think that's healthy. I do worry about the women who want to be me, because you're never going to be me. I am me. And what I can do though is in that second classification, I can give you tools that you might not have had before, so you can have the tools like I have that will suit you in your life. And I think that's the best way to go about it. But that feeling of loneliness, I think, is a result of my brain, if I ever experiencing it, not doing the work it needed to do to not be lonely. And I think that's because it's my responsibility as a weird brain to search out or to have inner peace with being alone. I honestly think I'm at the point in my life, guys, where I'm really happy with the friendships that I have. I'm really happy with the lovers that I've had, and I'm really happy with the way my life has gone. And at this point, I'm just happy to have people in my life who get me. And if I never find, that partner, that's okay. If I never have those truly all-encompassing people know me down to my core and they're with me all the time, that's okay too. I think I'm really at peace with the idea of just kind of doing my own thing, and in the process, just enjoying the people who come into my life when I get to have them. And if I don't get to have them all the time, that's okay too. And if I do end up having them all the time, you know, then that's even better. But I'm not holding my breath. I don't want to put any preconceived notions or false fantasies onto anybody. I don't want to do that because I hate when people project it onto me. And I just want to make sure that's clear. You know, I make friends in a very specific way. Again, I'm not going to tell you my method because it's important that I judge people based off of their genuine selves. But I have a very specific way with how I choose who I become friends with. And it's worked out okay with me the last year, and I'm going to keep it up. But for those of you who will ask me questions like, can we be friends? Probably not. I don't have the spoons to be friends with everybody. And that's not because I have so many people in my life already, though that's a huge part of it. But it's because either my brain doesn't understand your brain, or my brain isn't stimulated by your brain, or my brain is just searching for a different person to make a priority. And all of these things are they just are what they are. They shouldn't feel offensive. They shouldn't even hurt feelings. They should just be a reality of, I can only give what I can give. And that's how I think you should live your life too. You don't deserve to be pulled apart, and you should be able to exist through life the way you want to seek out happiness. And I think that that's going to look very specific and very different to everybody. So again, when you ask me these BDSM 101 questions, what does my first scene be? What should my first scene be? What should my first this be? I don't know. I don't know you. It's dependent on you, the person. All I'm here to do is make sure that you're doing it safely, and that's all I can do. I cannot tell you how to do every single scene the way you want to do it because, well, that would take a million years. But if you ever need that one-on-one advice and you do want me to help in that particular way, I can do it very limited on Patreon. Okay, I have like one more spot open for Skype calls, or two more maybe at this point. But either way, I can help you only so much. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be what you want as an individual. What do you seek out? What is your idea of not loneliness? Like, to the person who asked me that question, what does not being lonely look like? What does loneliness feel like? For me, it feels like being misunderstood. And now I'm at the point where I don't even feel that really, because when people don't understand me, I just go, okay, I'm not going to invest my time in people whose brains will never get my brain. But if you can get my brain, great. You know, the last few interactions I've had with people in my life, I think I spent a lot of my 20s trying to get people to understand my brain because I accepted theirs. But now I'm realizing, you know what? It's okay not to have people in my life who won't understand my brain. If you don't get it, you don't get it. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not judging you. I'm not making a judgment call on who you are. I'm not saying you're not smart enough to get it. I'm just saying I don't want to invest in it anymore. And because I've done that, I just feel less lonely. And I think that that's because I've accepted that my company is good enough. And yeah, you know. Anyways, that's all for today, guys. Thank you guys so much for being a part of this video and asking those amazing questions. 150 of you left comments, so obviously I didn't get to everybody. As we move forward, of course, next month we'll do the TMI again, so you'll have another chance of being heard. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. If you had any BDSM 101 questions, please keep in mind I've already answered a lot of these questions in previous videos. Please watch my BDSM 101 classes. Watch my BDSM Living series. That will answer a lot of the questions you guys post to me in these comment sections that I did not get to. And then with that, thank you for being here. I hope you guys have a great day. Thanks to patrons for making this video possible, and I'll see you next month. Oh my god, I can't believe we're already in October. I cannot wait. I have Halloween photo shoots galore coming your way, and I'm excited to show you guys what I have. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!